Today we're going to be going over all things Rinnegan, and even go over the individual Rinnegans shown in the Boruto manga and anime. But before we get into that, we're going to invite you guys to enter a little competition. Have you ever designed your own Mangekyo Sharingan? Or thought up an awesome ability for one? Well, now's your chance. Create a Google Doc or Google Slide with the image of your custom Mangekyo design, followed by the abilities you came up with for it. Then comment the link below. If you don't want to make your own design, you can just use the image of your favorite Sharingan. And if you don't want to make your own abilities, you can just use abilities that already exist. You can see that in this video here. We will then make a video rating the abilities and designs, and obviously giving you guys credit for the design, unless you tell us not to. Don't forget to subscribe and press the notification bell. Now let's get into the Rinnegan. Firstly, I'll be going over a brief breakdown of the Rinnegan, like you can see in our original Sharingan video. Very few, if any, people can ever unlock this powerful Dojutsu due to its difficult requirements to unlock. These requirements are combining the chakra of the reincarnation of Indra and Ashura to emulate Hagoromo's chakra. On top of this, they require a Sharingan to evolve into the Rinnegan in the first place. But this requirement is more than worth the power of the Rinnegan. A basic understanding of the Rinnegan is it grants the user all 5 chakra natures, has 6 unique abilities known as the 6 paths of the Rinnegan, and on top of this it has a 7th outer path which can be used to create black chakra receivers, control bodies with the rods, making the paths of pain we know, and use some unique abilities which will be discussed later. And if your Rinnegan has Tomoe, you can also use your eternal Mangekyo Sharingan abilities along with your Rinnegan abilities. The Rinnegan originates from Kaguya after she became the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails, gaining the Rinne Sharingan. This gave her son Hagoromo a new Dojutsu derived from it called the Sharingan, which eventually evolved into the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan evolves from the Sharingan using the chakra of Hagoromo or the combination of the chakra of his 2 sons Indra and Ashura. It took Madara years to evolve his Sharingan into the Rinnegan after grafting Hashiramo's cells onto himself, thus combining the Indra and Ashura chakra. The other Rinnegan, owned by the other Otsutsuki, don't have known origins, but clearly don't require Hagoromo's chakra, so it's likely something more closely related to Otsutsuki chakra rather than Hagoromo himself. These other Otsutsuki also never had the Rinne Sharingan like Kaguya, so it's likely they were born with just Rinnegan. Now once again, it's time for our little game before we go straight into the video. I hope you remember the rules. If you guess wrong, then you have no choice but to subscribe to Kontetsu Kage's. However, if you're right, comment the answer below. Which path of pain is currently on screen? Is it A, the Diva path, B, the Naraka path, C, the animal path, or D, the human path? If you guessed the Naraka path, you would be correct. However, if you're wrong, make sure you press that subscribe button. Going further into depth about the Rinnegan, it has a powerful visual genjutsu resistance, allowing the user to resist the effects of visual genjutsu such as the infinite Tsukiyomi. It's likely capable of completely resisting weaker visual genjutsu as well. The Rinnegan has also been implied to have genjutsu capabilities, and even gives the user physical boosts far exceeding that of the Sharingan at any stage. Paired with that, each Rinnegan gets 1 unique ability. They become proficient in all 5 chakra natures, they gain the ability to summon the Gedo statue, and the Rinnegan allows the user to seal the Ten Tails. The Rinnegan can do everything the Sharingan can do, but better. And on top of that, every Rinnegan has access to the 6 paths in the outer path. Now to begin going over each path individually, I'll start with the Diva path. The Diva path grants the user full control over the forces of attraction and repulsion. The user can even levitate using the powers of the Diva path. The powers, however, have their limitations. Firstly, it costs chakra to use, and that chakra is proportional to the amount of force used. For example, the almighty push used to destroy the village requires much more chakra than a small push used to block something like a kunai. On top of this, pain required a 5-second gap between usages, although it's unknown if all users had to abide by this same time restriction. And the more power used, the longer that 5-second cooldown becomes. Along with this power over attraction and repulsion, there's also a technique known as Shibaku Tensei. This technique creates a black sphere which pulls its surrounding towards it, creating what is essentially a tiny moon which can be used as a form of sealing technique. The Preta path absorbs chakra in any form, whether it be regular chakra, ninjutsu, or even sage chakra. The Preta path can absorb it all. The Preta path can absorb chakra from someone they touch, or they can create a physical barrier around themselves to absorb ninjutsu that comes within the radius, such as Pain did with Naruto's Rasen Shuriken, or Madara with Inogi's particle style. If the user of this path cannot control senjutsu, then any sage chakra absorbed risks turning them into stone or any other side effects of the sage chakra, such as turning into a frog. Absorbing enough chakra can also revitalize the user, healing them in a similar fashion to how Kisame uses Samehara. Although used primarily defensively, this could also be used offensively to suck opponents dry of chakra, like Edo Nagato did with B healing himself. Next up is the animal path. This path allows the user to summon several powerful creatures with unique abilities, all of which share the Rinnegan visually, and are seemingly immortal due to being able to be summoned even after they have been defeated before. Just as the other paths of pain, the summons and pains all share vision with the user. The animals summoned appear to have the same black rods throughout them as the pain bodies. On top of summoning the animals, the animal path can summon the other bodies of the outer path, as well as seemingly being able to summon friends, such as when Pain summoned Kono. Something to note is summoning the animals of the animal path didn't require a blood sacrifice or hand signs for the user of this technique. However, it still does to some of the other paths or allies. The animal path we've seen has 8 distinct summons, including the giant drill-beaked bird, giant multi-headed dog, giant snake-tailed chameleon, giant panda, giant ox, giant rhino, giant crustacean, and the giant centipede. The giant drill-beaked bird is a high-speed bird with a massive beak used for dive bomb attacks. On top of this, in the anime, it was able to lay eggs which drop like bombs and explode. The multi-headed dog is considered one of the strongest because of its unique abilities. When attacked, the summon could split its body into individual dogs, which could re-merge again. On top of this, the dog gained an additional head every time it split its body in this way, similar to a hydra. Besides this, the summon couldn't be defeated unless you defeated the summoner. In this case, that would be the user of the animal path. The giant snake-tailed chameleon is capable of going entirely invisible, and the animal path user can even hide within the mouth of the chameleon. The chameleon has the ability to walk up walls or ceilings thanks to its reptilian feet, and its snake tail can be used to grab targets and attack. The giant panda is pretty well just that. It does have one unique trait to harden its body and become a shield for the user. The giant ox has absolutely nothing special over any of the other summons. It's just a very large, very strong ox with shared vision. The giant rhino is in the exact same position as the ox, just being massive and strong with nothing special. The giant crustacean has a shell that acts as armor, and on top of that, it can actually use water release techniques. The giant centipede again is another basic non-unique summon, like the rhino and ox, which just uses size and strength for destruction. And as said before, all 6 paths of pain can be summoned using the animal path. The Ashura path essentially allows the user to become a cyborg. They gain mechanical augmentations such as missiles, chakra cannons, additional arms, detachable/launchable arms, and even jets from the feet allowing for flight. The mechanical upgrades also enhance the user's strength to the point where they can rip an arm off and crush the throat of a legendary Sani. The Ashura path also has access to numerous tendrils, drills, and flexible blades to use in combat thanks to these modifications. As far as we know, the enhancements allow for a maximum of 4 additional arms, 2 additional faces, as well as a folded, serrated blade-like sash around the waist. The enhancements also allow the Ashura path to survive otherwise fatal injuries thanks to its mechanical internals. The Naraka path has 2 primary abilities based on the summoning of the King of Hell. The King of Hell can be used to interrogate foes as well as restore allies. The King of Hell appears as a massive head with purple flames surrounding it. To restore allies, the target of the healing must be fed to the head, which then leads to a restored body coming out after some time. This easily makes it one of the most valuable paths as it allows for the complete restoration of injured allies. When it comes to the interrogation ability, this isn't the most useful or used, but it allows the user to summon the King of Hell, which if used to capture a target, the target gets their life force energy drawn from them. If they then lie, they get their tongue eaten by the King of Hell, thus killing the target. But if they tell the truth, they are spared, but left completely exhausted. The human path is a more simplistic path which allows the user to attempt to pull the soul from targets with physical contact, although those with strong souls can resist this technique like we see with Naruto. If pulling the soul out is successful, the user can obtain information from the target, but inevitably killing those who have their soul removed. This path is, however, essentially useless in regular combat. The outer path is a more secretive and very unique path. This is the path that grants the ability to use the black chakra receivers in the corpses to control them, and grant them the abilities of the Rinnegan as well as the shared vision. This path is also what allows the user to create the black chakra rods, which can be used to offensively stab targets and channel chakra into them to immobilize them, like we see here with Naruto and here with Tobirama. On top of that, the user can summon the chains of the Gedo statue to further restrain targets, specifically having seals to suppress the power of tailed beasts, allowing them to be combined into the Gedo statue to reform the Ten Tails. And the final notable ability of the outer path is the ability to use one's own life force to restore the dead back to life. This technique is known as Rinne Rebirth. Now getting into specific Rinnegan abilities, we will be starting with Madara Uchiha. Madara's Rinnegan allowed for him to summon Limbo clones. These clones are invisible and incorporeal. They cannot be seen without a Rinnegan or sensed without Sage Mode, and they won't take any damage unless Senjutsu is used to harm them. On top of this, the clones are stated to be equal in power to the user, even capable of using the jutsus of the user, although the clones have a limitation where they need to periodically return to the user. Madara unlocked his Rinnegan when he grafted Hashirama cells onto himself. It took years for the Rinnegan to actually awaken, but it was done by the combining of Indra and Ashura chakra inside of Madara. Sasuke's Rinnegan only appears in one eye and allows him to swap places between himself and something he is looking at. He often uses this to switch places with his foes after intentionally getting into a bad situation, like here in his fight with Momoshiki. He can also swap the positions of two things he's looking at, such as a kunai and a jutsu. This was also shown in his fight with Momoshiki as well as other instances. Besides this, Sasuke's Rinnegan has 6 tomoe, allowing him to use his regular Mangekyo abilities through his Rinnegan. Sasuke's Rinnegan was given to him by Hagoromo after obtaining some of his chakra, thus awakening the 6 tomoe Rinnegan. Momoshiki's Rinnegan is the first Rinnegan we see from anyone besides the descendants of Kaguya. His Rinnegan is very unique because it's not the usual purple Rinnegan, and is intentionally shown, or is initially shown as red, although it's not the Rinne Sharingan. His Rinnegan is even further unique because they reside in his palms rather than his eye sockets. The right Rinnegan allows the user to absorb any chakra-based technique, which can then be sent back using the left Rinnegan at a multiplied power and size. Momoshiki stated he could do this an unlimited amount of times, although the user's chakra may limit it. With the right Rinnegan, he was also capable of turning targets into pills, granting him their youth, chakra, and technique arsenal. Once Momoshiki absorbed Kenshiki using that technique, he gained a third Rinnegan in the center of his forehead, and all 3 Rinnegan became yellow rather than red. Besides this, when we see his Rinnegan, it displays the same basic abilities as other Rinnegan. Urashiki is a second example of a Rinnegan which isn't the regular purplish color, but is instead able to transform, very much unlike any other eye we see. Urashiki's eyes are Byakugan that can swap into blue Rinnegan or a red 6 tomoe Rinnegan, which is not a Rinne Sharingan, to clarify. Urashiki is an anime-only character found only in Boruto, however he and his Rinnegan is explored enough so we can go over it. His red tomoe Rinnegan allowed him to use the technique known as Yomatsu Hirasaka. This ability is said to be the progenitor of all space-time ninjutsu, and may be familiar as the jutsu Kaguya used. The blue Rinnegan allowed Urashiki to travel several seconds back in time. If used repeatedly, he could create perfect counterattacks thanks to his future knowledge. However, once again, Urashiki is entirely anime only. The Rinne Sharingan is a unique dojutsu which comes from the Ten Tails / God Tree. The dojutsu is also the origin of the Rinnegan we know of. As we have said before, Kaguya with the Rinne Sharingan birthed Hagoromo, who was born with the Sharingan and eventually unlocked the Rinnegan we know of with the purple color. From that day forward, anyone who could obtain the chakra of the reincarnations of his two sons, obtained Hagoromo's chakra, and thus would eventually unlock the Rinnegan. Unlike the Tomoe Rinnegan, the Rinne Sharingan is supposed to have 9 Tomoe and manifests in the forehead of the Ginger to get up to 10 tails. The Rinne Sharingan also possesses the ultimate genjutsu known as the Infinite Tsukuyomi. On top of that, the Rinne Sharingan allowed Kaguya to use Ameno Minaka and Yomotsu Hirasaka, which was talked about before. This allowed Kaguya to travel between dimensions inside and out of combat. The Rinne Sharingan is also believed to have the strength of both the Rinnegan and Sharingan combined, although nothing is truly known about that part. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, but instead of asking for your subscription, I would like to ask everyone to vote for Hiruzen in the Naruto Top 99 popularity poll. I will explain why he is the best choice in my next video, but besides that, any and all feedback is appreciated, so comment below. If there's anything else you'd like to see, any video suggestions are also appreciated.